What up, chooms? This is WBAL-NC, your one-stop shop for all the deets on this shithole we call home. Whether you're a fresh fish new to Night City's streets or an old hat veteran from the East Coast lost in this western wasteland, like me, WBAL-NC has got your back, for at least as long as they leave us on the air. Today, we're back to a segment called Gangs of Night City, and we're learning about our fan-favorite gang of wannabe cyber psychos. That's right, I'm talking about Maelstrom, the most chromed out bunch of gang goons you will ever meet. Maelstrom got its start way, way back in the day, during that chaotic time in the wake of the Fourth Corporate War. It was a wild time, folks, one I am glad to have missed. Night City was pretty much a fucking ruin, but hey, life goes on, right? People kept on living here, and the gangs kept on doing their thing. Maelstrom was cobbled together in this period of anarchy out of a Frankensteinian mess of other gangs. See, there used to be this other bunch of gang goons, right? These folks called the Metal Warriors. You can just about guess what their whole deal was by their name, but the Metal Warriors had a rival in a gang called the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors hated Chrome, saw it as evil against their religion, so they turned on the Metal Warriors one night in an orgy of violence that left the Chromeheads wiped out. The very few survivors of the massacre pulled together into the mess that you know today as Maelstrom. Maelstrom struck back against the Inquisitors, right? I mean, who wouldn't after losing your chooms like that? They rallied disaffected members of a few other gangs to their side, folks from a fascist gang called the Red Chrome Legion, and more from a bunch of Arasaka Chromeheads called the Iron Sights. Before you know it, they were one of the largest gangs in the city, which was bad, because they are one of the most violent gangs even today. Maelstromers have some fucked up views regarding meat. That is to say, they hate it. They want to transcend the flesh by incorporating obscene amounts of cyberware. A good choom of mine once said something like, "Junkies snort junk, Maelstromers snort chrome, and I'll be goddamned if that ain't true." They replace every scrap of flesh that they can find and look up to figures like Adam Smasher who go the full conversion route. You can rest assured, almost all of them are outright cyber psychos. Fringe elements within the gang are even said to worship AI like gods, and they're constantly seeking ways to breach the black wall so that they can summon these demons into our world. Fucking crazy, am I right, Chumbadas? Maelstrom has a unique initiation ritual, one which simultaneously proclaims their disdain of flesh loud for the world to see and upgrades the initiate into a more useful gangoon. You've probably seen Maelstromers around town, especially in North Watson. Those creepy fucking spider eyes, man. It's a requirement of joining Maelstrom that you undergo a very painful optical splice surgery. They shred your optic nerve into 8 different endings and tie it into a new full-spectrum vision suite. No pain meds, of course. If you live, then you're in the gang. And hey, you can see EMF or swap to thermal vision or see in the dark. But there is no going back. Even if you wanted to remove an implant like that, you're gonna be left forever disfigured and without your eyesight. It is a permanent step, one meant to reflect the gangoon's commitment to Maelstrom as a whole. Maelstrom controls North Watson from the Totentons Metal Club. They are constantly pushing south, though, often up against the Tiger Claws and the Mox. They love those abandoned warehouses and old factories that are prevalent up in the north of the city, but it's very common to spot them on Kabuki streets. Don't be surprised if you spot them fucking anywhere in Night City, but they almost always will travel in groups when outside of their own territory. It's pretty hard for a Maelstromer to hide their looks, after all. Most of the other gangs would be all too happy to take a chunk out of a chrome hound just because. Bottom line, if you see Maelstrom, run, don't walk, in the opposite direction. Trust me, chooms, you will thank me later. They have a tendency to chrome people up against their will, and not in the nice way. Get snagged by Maelstrom, and you could wake up sporting so much cyberware that you pop Cyber Psycho when you hit a red light on your way home. They take special joy in chipping folks who are against it. You know, folks like monks or those inquisitors. You can bet any of those motherfuckers that got captured back in the day found themselves as close to full Borgs as Maelstrom could get them. One more thing, chooms. Maelstrom, probably because of their activities with the Black Wall, have exhibited some close ties with the Voodoo Boys. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Voodoo Boys don't hang out with anybody. They are not chooms with any motherfuckers in this city. But if anyone was said to be working with them, Maelstrom is the one. I can't really confirm off the top, but my buddy tells me that there's a lot of back channel services going back and forth between these two gangs. So don't fuck with Maelstrom unless you want to fuck with the Voodoo Boys too. But alright, chooms, that's all I got for you today. I hope these segments help you displaced Charm City natives survive the City of Dreams. This has been Gangs of Night City. Now let's get back to the fucking music.